craving certain smells, super weird. I had dilated to a 7, which is like transition period, like 5 days before I had her. If you're prepping to have a baby soon, you can do it. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna be a great mom. Just getting myself in that right headspace. And honestly, that's the best thing that you can do to prep for a baby. Hello lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be sharing with you my 36 weeks pregnancy update, as well as how this pregnancy has gone so far for me compared to my other two. So with this pregnancy, it has been very, very different from my other two pregnancies. I thought my other two pregnancies were different from each other, but it turns out they were more alike than not. And I'm gonna go over some of the different symptoms, my cravings, different things I'm experiencing now that I'm almost due to have baby in about a month. And yeah, lots of different things that have helped me as well in this last trimester, through the second and the third trimester especially. And so I'm going to give you lots and lots of tips. This is my third pregnancy. We're so excited to meet little babies, so come along for the ride. If you're new to my channel, hi, welcome. My name is Brittany Garcia, and I make videos weekly on the topics of motherhood, interior design and decorating, and just in general homemaking. But today we're going to be talking about pregnancy in particular. And the other day I was like, oh my gosh, I have not done a single pregnancy update just because of lack of preparation on my part. And it's something I wanted to do during this pregnancy. So we're gonna catch the tail end of it. We're gonna do weekly updates until I have the baby, and it'll be fun. It'll be a fun little thing to look back on for me as well. So originally when I got pregnant, as close as I could calculate it, I figured that baby would be due at the beginning of January, and like the first week of January. So we came up with a date, and between me and my midwife, she was able to hear baby's heart rate super well early in pregnancy, and so we kept that date. Well, fast forward until about, I think it was the beginning of October, we finally went and got our anatomy scan done. And baby was measuring 3 weeks. 3 weeks, you guys, in advance. And I have been pretty on track during the second trimester as far as baby's measurements to go along with a due date. But this time there was such a discrepancy between dates, because now I'm due mid-December, that we moved it up because I'm doing a home birth. And the thing is, with home birth, you can't have a baby at home before 37 weeks, which I will be 37 weeks next week, because today I'm actually 36 weeks. So I could have the baby, I'm clear to have the baby at home next week, 7 days from today, which is ridiculous. It's crazy. I've never had a baby that early, don't worry. I don't think I'll have this baby that early, but yeah, so due date has changed dramatically. And the thing was, I couldn't remember when my last period had been. We were doing natural family planning, and my periods, I guess that period was irregular, and I had regular periods, and then, you know, I didn't mark it in my calendar, so here we are. We're gonna have a baby like a whole month almost before we thought we would. So it feels like this pregnancy has really flown by. I literally have just weeks left to prepare, and we don't even have solid names yet, and we also don't know the gender, so we need to pick both a boy name and a girl name first and middle, and that's exciting and fun. It's so wonderful to think about who this little baby's gonna be. So let's get into, I'm gonna go over the differences in my pregnancies, up until this point of this pregnancy versus the other ones, and then I'll get into specifically 36 weeks, end of pregnancy, things that are going on and stuff. So with this pregnancy, overall, I have had way more energy. I don't know why, but I've had way more energy. I have not felt tired. I have not needed to take naps as much. I've probably taken a handful of naps during this pregnancy, but I also listen to my body more. So if I am feeling a little bit fatigued, I do rest. You know, I sit down more, whereas with my other two, I just go all the time. With Bethany, I was very, very tired all the time. But I was also working a almost full-time job when I was pregnant with her as a receptionist for a medical field, and so that was a high stress, intense job. And then with Adeline, which is my second born, I had I had a toddler to keep up with, and so I feel like that drained me a lot more. But this time around, I feel like I've learned quite a few things that have helped me just keep my energy up. My nutrition is also better, so that has helped. Okay, so in distinct very distinct from my other 2 pregnancies, I have never ever in my life had a yeast infection, and this pregnancy, oh my gosh, I feel like my immune system is very low. Ironically, I have a lot of energy, but my immune system is low. And I know this because I've gotten sick almost every single month. The last few months have gotten a lot better. I'm doing different things to help my body's immune system be built back up. But for sure, I've never had a yeast infection my whole life. And then I got one in June. And one week I just was like, I didn't even know what was wrong because I'd never had one. I was like, okay, something's up, you know? So I did like essential oils, I got rid of it. I took them internally. And then the next week after that, it kind of morphed into a UTI, but I didn't know at the time. It was kind of an asymptomatic UTI. And then that week, which I wasn't even showing yet, we hadn't told people yet that I was pregnant, I got a very intense, horrible migraine. I called my doctor. I let him know what my symptoms were because I was concerned, because my neck, like the whole back of my neck, was super sore and tender and felt stiff. And the concern for that is you could have possibly meningitis. And because I was pregnant, I was like, I don't want to even mess with this. So I called my doctor. He was like, you need to go into the ER like immediately and have them check you. So went to the ER, was absolutely miserable. My whole head hurt, but it hurt so bad that if I touched one side of my head, and it was more intense on one side, I think it was more intense on my left side, it just was excruciating. I couldn't even stand like touching my head or my hair very gently. And I had never had that happen before in any of my pregnancies, or even just in, you know, not being pregnant. And I sat in the ER for like 6 hours or more. It was so ridiculous. I think I got there at 3 p.m. The girls went with my in-laws and we were there for like 6 hours straight. So unfortunately couldn't do a very fun like reveal for my parents, or for Roberta's parents, because they both didn't know, and I was like 11 weeks or 10 weeks at the time. And so that was kind of sad because I had to tell them like, hey, I'm in the ER and this is why. It's because I'm pregnant and, you know, probably just need to get things checked out. Baby was fine, everything was fine, but the one thing they did say from my labs was that I was low in sodium. And I kind of figured something was off internally, obviously, because I'd had the yeast infection, and then they told me that from my labs. So went home, told my midwife, she got the results, and we figured that I was low in trace minerals, because usually if you're low in one of them, you're low in all of them. So the trace minerals is sodium, calcium, potassium, and magnesium. So started taking some trace minerals. I got this brand, which is the Concentrace Minerals, and it's really great. It actually has like the dose that you need per day, and I wasn't getting enough. And I had always known I was kind of low in magnesium because I would get muscle cramps. My arms and joints would hurt a lot when I was a kid. And so anyways, I started taking those trace minerals. And since then, you guys, no joke, I was getting migraines or headaches at least once a week. Since I've been taking that regularly, almost daily, I have had probably max 2 headaches that have not been extreme since June, and we're in November. And that is huge for me because I usually deal with very, very bad migraines, and they're worse in pregnancy. They're worse in the first trimester for me and at the end of pregnancy. And I have not had to take any painkillers, which just made me so happy because I like to go the natural route more, but sometimes I just couldn't even I couldn't even manage without taking something for them. So I'm very grateful that that has been resolved. I haven't had any more migraines. But continuing along with the theme of health, I got rid of the yeast infection. And with yeast infections, there's a very loud train going by. You probably can hear it, so excuse that.
But with yeast infections, with his yeast infection, it was recurring. I was getting it, it would go away, and I would get it again, and I would get rid of it, and I would get it again. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Because if you're married and you're intimate with your spouse, they can get it. And with men, sometimes they can't tell that they have an infection. And so, you know, just kind of happens that they pass it back to you. So that's what was essentially happening without us knowing. And on top of that, if you're getting recurring yeast infections, there's usually something wrong with your gut, and you're probably not getting enough probiotics. So I started taking probiotics as well, and it wasn't working, but I didn't realize I didn't have the right dose of probiotics. Let me go get the one that I'm taking currently so that you can see. So I started taking probiotics, but I ran out. And when I would run out, it would come back. And it was just this ongoing cycle. Multiple different things were going on. But this is the one that is, really good. It's 38 different probiotic strands. And it's specifically formulated for vaginal health. And so I started taking this. This has helped magnificently. So has this, which is oil of oregano. So I was taking that and this every single day, once a day, to get good probiotics in my body. And then I started taking, I didn't start taking, I tried a probiotic drink, which is actually formulated to be a lot stronger than normal probiotics. I can't remember the brand of it, but Aldi sells it, and I had it one night. It made me so sick because what I didn't realize what was going on, and I found this out, like I pieced together all the information, and I realized that I had an extreme imbalance of yeast in my stomach and intestinal tract. And whenever you introduce good bacteria, but it's a lot all at once, your bad bacteria, and then the yeast, kind of fights against it. And I threw up like 2 weeks ago. I was super sick. I had diarrhea all week, and then it cleared itself out, and I kept taking the good probiotics that I had. But apparently that's a very common thing that can happen. And so now the yeast infection is gone, but that same week my friend Hope, she's a godsend, she told me about structured silver. And structured silver, essentially what it does is it rips off part of a bad bacteria and kills it, but it doesn't react the same way to good bacteria. And so it kills the bad bacteria, and at the same time eliminates yeast infections, because it balances the bacteria that you have, which in turn helps balance yeast. So you always have yeast, you always have bacteria vaginally, but when they get out of whack, that's when you get yeast infections, or you get like bacterial vaginosis. So this is just structured silver in a spray bottle, and it has to be in like a dark container so that it doesn't, you know, get ruined by the light. And you just spray, I would spray this on externally every time I would go to the bathroom for and then morning and night. Keep myself really clean and with dry cotton underwear. This got rid of that yeast infection in like a week or less. I started noticing improvement around 2 days. Kept doing it, and it's totally gone now. I'm so grateful, because that can make labor actually more intense, I found out, if you have a yeast infection. So very grateful for that. Another symptom that I've been having, besides the recurring yeast infections, which thank God they're gone now, is I have had a lot of restless leg syndrome this pregnancy. And again, was taking the trace minerals, got rid of the headaches and everything, but it doesn't have enough magnesium for what I needed. So my midwife suggested that I get this Calm Magnesium, and you take it basically half a tablespoon in the morning and at night. And this has helped ever since I started taking this. I don't have restless leg syndrome anymore, which is wonderful, because it is miserable to have that going on. But I'm not dealing with that anymore. So I'm very grateful for that as well. And then what's another thing? Oh, I've been doing chiropractic care regularly this entire pregnancy. It has helped me so much. My chiropractor uses the Webster technique, and basically it's specifically designed to help pregnant women, and it is not forceful. It is very gentle. She uses a little adjuster. She uses just her hands to kind of feel like where you have heat in your back, and then where she needs to adjust. She checks your legs, she checks your pelvis,
And that makes everything so optimal for, you know, to not have that pain in your pelvis. Hold on, Adeline is waking up, so I have to go get her. I'll be right back. Say hello. Mommy. So, Adeline, I forgot what I was talking about. I'll get back to that in a second, but yeah, she's taking a nap. So Adeline and this baby could potentially be born on the same day, because the due date is so close to when Addie was born. Addie was born on the 10th of December, 2 years ago, 2020. So they'll be almost exactly 2 years apart, and it's gonna be so fun. Another thing that happened early in my pregnancy, compared to the girls, is that I almost had no morning sickness. I had it pretty bad with both of them up until like 16 weeks or so, and it was rough. Really rough. But this time I did not have that. I was super grateful that I didn't have much morning sickness, because it's hard to get things done, and it's hard to like even function when you have little kids and you don't feel well, when you're a stay-at-home mom. So I ended up not really throwing up. I ended up really not throwing up at all this pregnancy, maybe once, and I had a little bit of food aversion as well during the beginning of my pregnancy. Yes, honey. Yeah. Let's move into things that are happening now, at 36 weeks pregnant. Hi. I have definitely had an increase in Braxton Hicks contractions. They are relatively strong now. Totally got distracted by little Adeline over here. She's watching a little show, so we'll keep her entertained for like a few more minutes while I wrap this up. I went back and watched some of the footage because I got so scatterbrained after Adeline came out here, but I forgot that I didn't finish my thoughts on chiropractic care, so let me jump back to that real quick. With Adeline, and with Bethany both, my pelvis was out of place and I didn't know it, especially when I was pregnant with Addie. I had a lot of pubic pain, and I essentially had what is called pubic symphysis dysfunction. It was very, very painful. It was painful to lay on my side all the time, and you have to during pregnancy. And I could barely walk, and I couldn't stand for long periods of time. It started to come back at the beginning of this pregnancy, and we treated it immediately, and she taped my belly with, what do they call that? Kinetic tape? It has a name with a K, I'm pretty sure. But she took some of that tape and taped my belly almost for a month straight, like 6 months to 7 months or something like that. And it definitely got rid of all of the pain that I was having. I don't even need to wear a pregnancy belt, which I was doing with Addie, you know, to support my belly, and I just feel so much better. Honestly, I don't really have back pain anymore, and I don't have pubic pain, and I don't have pelvis pain, which has been so incredible. And it's definitely because I had that care like ongoing throughout my whole pregnancy. Moving back into symptoms, I have been dealing with a lot of acid reflux, especially like during week 35, which was also when I was sick with all the yeast overgrowth and everything, and getting that under control. So I have actually not had that anymore because baby has actually dropped. I'm pretty certain baby has dropped because, number one, I can feel their head on my cervix on the inside, and when I have Braxton Hicks, I definitely feel that pressure, so I know that baby is a lot lower, and I can feel the baby very low in my pelvis when I'm walking around. I also have more room to breathe, and I have to pee a lot more frequently, and those are usually all signs that baby has dropped. And I don't think baby has obviously he's not fully engaged yet, but I do think baby is getting close to descending more. But baby is probably, or was last week, about halfway dropped. So it was fun. I did a little comparison on Instagram in my stories and asked people if they thought baby had dropped, and it was pretty divided. It was actually like 50% said yes and 50% said no, some of which were moms that said they thought yes or thought no, and then one of my doula friends was like, no, baby has not dropped. So we'll see. I think that baby's dropped now. Baby's definitely head down. I get a lot of kicks up in my ribs over here and over here. For the longest time, baby liked being on this side, but it seems like after I had my belly taped, it evened out, and baby is like, I feel kicks here and here, so it doesn't seem like there's so much on one side anymore. Oh, baby also tends to move up, so I know that after baby turns head down, baby can still move around pretty well until you hit like 37, 38 weeks, and then you're kind of running out of space for them to move as much. But baby does move transverse, and your belly looks so funny when that happens. But sometimes baby will, like, especially if I'm laying down, baby will move transverse sometimes, so, which is like across, and it's kind of funny. What else? Oh, we did get to see the baby's face. I'll insert a picture so you can also see. So cute. It looks exactly like Bethany, and we saw the baby at the beginning of October, so that's like me jumping back into the things that happened previously. Moving into other things, cravings. I crave a lot of ice, and I know that that's a sign of a deficiency, so I'm going to be bringing that up to my midwife this week. And I also crave a lot of Mexican food. Crave spicy stuff, and I crave a lot of salty things and a lot of lime infused things. I really like that a lot right now. Weight gain. I haven't gained a lot of weight in this pregnancy, but I also lost a lot of weight early in pregnancy because of food aversion, but now I have gained definitely all of that back and then some. I think I'm at like 10 pounds that I've gained so far, but I'll update on that next week because I have an appointment in a couple of days for my 36 weeks appointment. So I'll update you on some of those things at my next appointment, or at my next video. Stretch marks. I have no stretch marks from this pregnancy so far. I usually don't get any until like 38 weeks, so we'll see. We'll see if I get any this time or not. Here is one symptom that just started up this week, which is so weird to me because it's never happened in any of my pregnancies, but it's related to pregnancy. It can happen in pregnancy, it can happen outside of pregnancy, but it does happen frequently in pregnancy where have you ever heard of pica? If you've heard of pica, it's where people crave things that are non-nutritional items. And so like they'll crave chalk or dirt or like cleaning scents or soap, like detergent. And some people like just kind of want to eat it and they don't actually eat it. But with me, it hasn't been that. It's been, there's something similar. I'll put the name here. I can't remember it right now. But it's where you crave scent. And it is so bizarre. I was sitting in the bathtub taking a bath, and I was like washing up my washcloth, and I just grabbed whatever shampoo was nearest to me. And it was a Head and Shoulders shampoo, and I like washed it out, and I smelled it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this smells so good. And I'm not usually one to like obsess over smell, but that was like so strange to me, and I sat there for like legit probably 10 minutes, and then for an hour tried to figure out what scent was in Head and Shoulders so I could like replicate it in my house, because I was like, this smells so good, I need this. And then I was like, wait a minute, is this normal? Like, this is really weird. So I'm going to mention that to my midwife as well, because I haven't seen her since this happened. But I know it can be a sign of a nutritional deficiency as well. I'm just not sure which ones. So yeah, craving certain smells. I love right now washing the dishes because I get to use my dish soap, which is Dawn, and I absolutely love the way that it smells. And so I'm like constantly washing dishes. My hands show it because they're all dried out. But yeah, it's so weird. It's super weird. But anyways, those are like all of the things that have happened as far as like symptoms and cravings and things like that, and kind of like a recap of my pregnancy thus far. And now what am I doing to prepare for birth and labor and all that? As I mentioned earlier, I am having a home birth, and I'm actually going to vlog my home birth experience as much as I can, obviously, and it won't be anything gory or weird, but I definitely want to share because with Bethany and with Adeline, I had two very distinct home birth experiences. Both of them were home births. Adeline was an unplanned, unassisted home birth, and Bethany was, my midwife was here for that. But with Bethany, I had excruciating pain, like most childbirths are, but it was a short labor. It was 6 hours. With Adeline, it was a 2-hour labor. I slept through all of my early contractions. I had dilated to a 7, which is like transition period, like 5 days before I had her. And so my midwife was like, do you have your birth kit yet? And I was like, no. She's like, you need to get it, and you need to get it like express mailed to you. And because she's like, I don't think you're gonna make it to the weekend. Well, I made it to the weekend and then had her on Thursday the following week, but my labor was so quick. It was nearly completely pain-free. I gave birth basically without pain, and I was believing for that. And so the two distinct experiences that I had kind of have made me realize the importance of prepping yourself mentally for labor and for birth. And so what I'm doing right now is I am rereading Supernatural Childbirth by Jackie Mize. And it has helped me so much to realize, like, you don't have to go through all of the stuff that everybody says you're gonna go through. My memory card was full, and I had to change it out. Having those two very distinct experiences with childbirth has made me realize the importance of really prepping myself mentally for birth. And it is essential. Like, everything is connected, and the things that you think about and the way that you perceive birth really affects the way that you have a birth. And so this time around, I am being very proactive like I was when I had Adeline, and I am prepping myself mentally and just getting myself in that right headspace. And honestly, that's the best thing that you can do to prep for a baby. Yes, it's fun to set up a nursery. Yes, it is fun to, you know, have all of their clothes picked out and washed and everything ready. And honestly, I have done 0 of that so far. I will be doing that though. I'll have a few videos coming out very soon on baby prep stuff. But the most essential thing that you need to do is you need to prep yourself for birth and for labor. So anyways, if you get anything out of this video, please go get that book. You will do yourself a favor, and you will realize you do not have to have the pain. You do not have to have the excruciating pain in childbirth that everybody talks about and that movies portray as being normal. You don't have to go through that. I am like living proof that you do not have to go through that if you don't want to go through that. So anyways, long story short, I have a couple videos on my birth experiences. One is tips, and one is kind of like my 2 birth stories previously to this one that I haven't had yet. And yeah, so let me show you my baby bump. You can tell me in the comments down below if you think that baby has dropped or not. And thank you so much for joining me today. Okay, so this is me in my dining room. I have a little mirror here, so let's see. Let me see if I can actually do this. There's my baby bump. This is a maternity shirt, and it's already starting to get short on me. So we'll see how much longer the shirt lasts. But here is my baby bump. I really feel like baby has dropped for sure. And I don't get very, very big in pregnancy. My belly button has always popped. It's popped right now. I don't have the linea negra. I usually do get that towards the end of pregnancy. I think I had it with both girls. One of them, it was darker than the other, and then here's this side. And there you have it, little baby. So, getting so big and so large. But this is kind of how I know that my belly has dropped, is because up here, it's more of like a slope downward, and then this is more curved. Let me show you without my shirt. So this is kind of just sloped more down. My belly button is pointing more towards the floor now, whereas before it was like up higher, pointing out. And there was more of a shelf here. There's really not much of a shelf anymore. So that's kind of how I know. Super exciting. Also, just wanted to remind you, I'm going to have a lot more baby content coming out in the next month or so. I'm going to squeeze every last little ounce of energy that I have into videos to get some things out and done. I wanted to make all the baby content this time around, like I said, and I forgot to do that. So here we are trying to make up for last time. Thank you so much for being here today. I really greatly appreciate every single one of you. If you're prepping to have a baby soon, you can do it. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna be a great mom, and I hope to see you around here on my channel as well in the future. Thanks for watching, lovelies. I will see you very soon in another video. Bye.